Well, hello there, everybody, and welcome. My name is Dr. Jennifer Cameron, and if you are watching, you are in our group, Tech to Connect for Instructional Coaches, and I'm so glad to have you here. And thanks for joining me tonight. If you're just joining us now, please, I'd love to know where you're coming from. So hit me up in the comments. Tell me where you're coming from, where you're watching from tonight. Maybe what I know a lot of people in the group recently have joined, and tell us a little bit about yourself. We'd love to know a little bit about you. All right. So this is my first time using StreamYard, so please give me a little grace tonight. Talking about a topic that I'm pretty passionate about, though, so hopefully that'll transcend any tech issues we might have tonight. But we are going to be talking a little bit about how to track your professional development. So let's jump into the presentation here. All right, let's see. It's going to let me pull up my presentation. Let's see here. There we go. All right, so how to track your PD for engagement. So we're going to talk tonight a little bit about how to use digital tools to track teaching engagement, professional development, and in your coaching cycles. And you see there's a little QR code there on your right. If you'd like to scan it right now, if you have your phone with you, if you're not watching on your phone, you can grab it later. I will put it in the show notes. But that's just a little bit that'll put you on my email list. And that is a little just basic outline for planning and professional development that goes along with my PD for adult learners, which is a larger talk I do. And we're going to be breaking that down here over the next several weeks in this group and giving you all those goodies from that presentation. But tonight we're going to really kind of micro focus down on how to track your PD for engagement. And this couldn't come at a more timely time to talk about this because we're wrapping up the school year, right? And when we're wrapping up the school year, there's some things that there we go. I feel like that's a little more personable. But when we're wrapping up the school year, you may be having a review with your administrator or with a coaching team and talking a little bit about your impact and how can you prove that impact, right? And that was a big question I had when I started coaching. How was I going to prove that I had impact? Right. So let's take a little look at it here. This is kind of how I felt when I first got asked, like, how do you know your PD is making impact? And I was like, I have no idea. Like, I know I'm having impact. I'm having coaching cycles. People are telling me they're getting stuff from that, but that's not tangible data, right? You can't bring that to a meeting and say, this is how many people have been engaging with the things that I've been putting out there for them. This is how many people after we had a coaching cycle, I can see how they went back and looked at this different piece of professional development that I provided for them. This is how many times people read this article that I sent out. I wasn't able to talk about those kind of things when I was talking about my impact. It was more, I realized I was really depending on what people were giving me as feedback. And as we know that not all people who give instructional coaches feedback, it's not all positive, right? And sometimes you can get really kind of down in the mire of that one or two loud squeaky wheel that maybe is not really engaging with coaching or understanding it. And sometimes we let those few negative people guide how we proceed with our professional development, proceed with our coaching cycles, proceed with the material we feel our staff needs. And so when I shifted over to using a lot of digital tools to track that, I had so many aha moments. It took me in the direction I needed to go to support my staff and teachers. And so let's talk a little bit about how we did that and the questions that I asked myself, and maybe you're asking yourself too. So let's go in here to our next one. So the two big questions I asked myself was, how can I measure the impact of the resources and materials that I'm providing teachers, right? How can I do that? And why does measuring that impact of the resources and materials matter? Why does it matter? How is it going to help me as a coach? And I hope that if you are also using a lot of digital tools to track your impact, please share in the group. We would love to hear from you. But if you are newer to coaching and this is something I'm hoping is going to fast track you into getting really down into the meat of what the people that you are supporting needs, because you're going to be using some of these techniques and not kind of throwing spaghetti to the wall like I did when I first became a coach. before I kind of, really found my groove. So these were the questions I was asking myself. And I realized that I needed to start using some type of tracking device, some type of digital tool in which I can track people, because I needed to track to have the impact of being efficient. I need to use those tracking digital tools. And we're going to talk about what those are in the presentation. So hang in there with me if you're like, what is she talking about? We're going to get to exactly what kind of tools that I use. And the majority of them are free. And I bet if you are somewhat tech savvy, you probably use some of these tools, but you may not be using the tracking part of it. So it's going to be kind of like a gem gold mine of data for you tonight when you realize that you could be using this also to pull that data. But I needed to be more efficient. I need more accurate data. Like, we as coaches, we need to kind of get the accurate data of what people need. It gives you, when you're using digital tools, it gives you data analysis, right? When you're not doing all of that manually yourself, right? When you're not logging all of your coaching time in and logging all of your notes in, and using that administrative time in your day to just really look at data, when it's already kind of done for you with digital tools, um, you can get right to analyzing that data, right? And ultimately, what we want to do is create collaboration and customization for the teachers that we're supporting with that data. So, what are we thinking a little bit about efficiency? Or if is digital tools can streamline and track the things, so it can record and analyze engagement and data, right? It allows coaches to spend more time with teachers and less time on those admin tasks, right? And the accuracy, it provides that reliable recording of the professional development. I don't know about you, but I have presented professional development. It's been a good professional development, and I have one maybe naysayer or one person that didn't take it the way I expected them to. And I would fixate on that person and what they had said about the professional development, or the questions they asked. Maybe they asked me something I couldn't answer right away. And I lost focus on how everyone else in the room felt. Or, as you know, we have a lot of people who fly under the radar in education. And, that one person, maybe my professional development didn't impact, or maybe it did impact them, but it took them in a different direction. And I had a ton of other people that really had touched them in some way. They were interested. Um, and I didn't really have that reliable recording piece that I could go back and look at later. Now, if you were, I think a lot of coaches like myself, a lot of us use Google Forms, and we'll be talking about that later. That was like my sole way that I was relying on people for feedback. And if you use Google Forms, that's awesome. I do too, all the time. But I will tell you, I relied on Google Forms as my main data source for so long. And, I realized really quickly, it depended on when I was giving that Google form, what time of day it was sent out. If I sent it out through email, if I did it when I was meeting with a small group, or if I was meeting with a large professional development, if it was the end of the professional development, everybody just wanted to get the heck out of there, right? So often, if I hadn't opened any question, I might not get the data that I was looking for, or not enough of it to really help me with my coaching cycles, or my next topic that I was going to choose, or talk with my admin about choosing for the staff, because people just wanted to get out of there. Sometimes you get really great feedback as well, depending on what time you sent it. But if you sent it maybe at 3 o'clock on a Thursday, you weren't going to get the same information as maybe you got a Tuesday at 8 a.m. So I quickly learned that Google Forms and things like that are great. Short survey forms are great, but I started to use them more sparingly, and really when I wanted real feedback, because I was oversaturating a lot of my teachers with, like, okay, how is this? Can you answer this survey? That was really kind of my go-to for collecting data for so long. And by no means, if you use Google Forms, by no means am I saying that is not a good way to collect data. I still use it. I just use it a lot more strategically now, because I have other ways that I also track people's engagement. So let's keep going and talk a little bit about that. So I was looking for accuracy, looking for data, analyzing, right? So when you have a digital tool or several digital tools pulling engagement touches that you've had with teachers, letting you see how many times people have clicked on something, letting you see how many times people have engaged with something, how long someone has stayed on it, maybe how many times that person has gone back and reopened something, right? That just opens up a huge area for you to think about coaching, about reaching out to people, about kind of testing to see what people are interested in, what they want to learn about, and collaboration, right? So, coaches, it's an opportunity to collaborate, right? To give feedback, to maybe see what people are connecting with, right? So, digital tools really give you the option to have a collaboration piece that you can also collect data with. And ultimately, customization, right? We really want to take our large PD and our large presentations that we're doing and hone that down into small coaching cycles, right? And if you are new to teaching and new to coaching, you may have already experienced this. Sometimes it's difficult to get those coaching cycles started and getting a true coaching cycle going, and using digital tools to track teachers' engagement is a great way to kind of narrow down on what someone's looking at. I'll give you an example. We're going to talk a little bit about s'mores newsletters tonight. I recently started using s'mores newsletters a few months ago. It is a paid newsletter, but I can actually see very closely who clicked on links, how long they stayed on them, how many times they opened them. I can see how many people went back and reopened things several times. That has helped me tremendously, tremendously when it comes to approaching people for coaching cycles. And for that teacher, I may not reveal, hey, I noticed you clicked on this 4 times, but I might say, hey, my newsletter, we talked about this. I thought you might be interested in this particular thing. And she or he is thinking, wow, she really pays attention and knows me because I actually was looking at that on your newsletter. And then you had that conversation, right? Like, how can I help you? Recently, I had someone download every PD. Like, I usually put these PDFs at the end of a lot of my newsletters, whatever I'm talking about. I give a suggestion for a lesson, and I have several printables that I usually get from Canva that teachers can print out. And usually teachers print out 1 or 2. I noticed one in particular teacher printed out all 10 that I provided. So I thought to myself, obviously she's looking for resources. So I reached out to her and, kind of a little conversation going about resources that she might need. I found out that she was doing an animal report and she was kind of a little burnt out and just needed help getting that report together. She was looking for lessons that went with it. We had some great conversations about how to engage students in a lesson and then follow up. We actually talked about a app that actually you can take a picture of the animal and the student can like talk Chatterpix. If you know Chatterpix, the student can talk or read the report. It looks like the animal's talking about it. So it was a great way to end the report and have like an assessment piece for her and a writing piece as well. So we would have never had that conversation if I had not noticed how many times she had opened up and downloaded all of those PDFs. So it was really a way to customize for your teachers and kind of get those coaching cycles going. All right, let's look at this one. I'm going to put this one big because this is something I really wanted to hit on tonight. So, tracking myth. Please, please, please. As coaches, if you're a seasoned coach, you know this. But if you are new to coaching, I want to make sure you understand, please do not use digital tools and tracking as a gotcha, right? As a big brother, as a looking to see how many people opened it, right? Because you are never going to touch everyone with your professional development. If you do, it's going to be very rarely, might be in a mandatory scenario, but when you are trying to nurture teachers to reach out and ask for help with their teaching and their craft, not everyone's always ready to learn when you're presenting material or handing out material, putting material in their mailboxes. Not every adult is ready to learn at that time. So you're not always going to engage everyone. And please make sure you don't take it to heart when maybe you have an engagement, you're expecting all 30 staff members in a building to engage or all 50 staff members and you get a fraction of that, right? Those people are looking into the things that you provided because they're ready to learn. They're ready to engage or they're thinking about it, right? They're on that edge. They want to know more. And what you do as a coach is you serve those people, right? You serve those people to the best of your ability, and then the word gets out, right? The word gets out that you are good at what you do, and more people are looking to come to you to get coaching cycles, to get support, to get help from you, right? So please think about these tracking methods we're going to talk about tonight. And these digital tools are for you, the coach, to help you develop your craft as a coach, help you customize for your staff. Please do not use it as a got you. I will give you an example of a situation when I first started tracking that could have easily turned into a got you, but I was really mindful not to let it go that way. So we had a bunch of like minor things that staff had to engage with, and I sat down with my admin. If this was a couple of years ago, and we talked about the things that the staff had to engage with before they left. And we were going to, it was during COVID at that time. So everybody was, Zooming or watching videos in their individual classrooms and, or at home, depending on their situation. And so we thought we'd make a number of short screencasts of different things that staff need to learn. And then they had a Google form to sign out, right? And they had to say in the Google form that they actually engaged with all the material that they got. Um, and it was very interesting because I, for my own purposes, created screencast links so I could see how many times people clicked on certain videos, because I just was curious on where, again, I could support staff most. And I had several people that filled out the Google form that it was clear they hadn't clicked through to all the videos, right? And my first thing was like, huh, why are they saying they did this when they didn't? And it could have really gone in a gotcha way. I could have, but I had to take it back a minute. I said, well, my they had said they got it. Well, maybe they knew about that topic already and they felt confident, right? And they didn't feel like they needed to watch a video. Or maybe they were a little overwhelmed and maybe watching all those videos were too much. Um, Maybe I should have offered only one or two videos and I should have offered other ways for people to engage with things. So I quickly reeled that back and thought about how could I have presented that piece of professional development asynchronously for that staff that would have allowed more people to engage with it. If I was just looking at how many times people had clicked, I could have easily gone to my admin and said, hey, so and so and so and so never engaged with this. And that would have been a total gotcha. And that would have absolutely ruined my relationships with those staff members. And I would not have people reaching out to me for help. So I think it's probably a given to say that, but I just feel like I have to give like that kind of like caveat, like, remember that this tracking is for you. I don't think you necessarily even have to tell staff that you're using that in a tracking way. Because again, it's for you to help provide you more information. It's not about whether or not they're doing something they should or shouldn't do or how they're engaging with you. This is about how to help you. In regards to having conversations with your admin or whoever your supervisor might be, make sure you're using any data that you're talking about is to show how you're providing engagement or how you build understanding of your staff, and you use that piece of engagement to build on it to get more or to diversify how you're reaching out to people. So that's really the way to use it. So let's go in and talk a little bit more because I've probably kind of kept you guys hanging, right? On show me the data. How do you find proof of engagement? How do you find proof? So I'm going to dive into some of my favorite tools. There are a ton out there. And hopefully you're probably pretty familiar with some of these. And if you haven't been using it to track data, the exciting part tonight, I'm excited for you if this is you, that you get a chance to go back and look at some of those things and look at the data that you might not even know that you had stored away somewhere, about how your staff engage with your professional development, your coaching cycle, materials or resources that you provided. So let's go in and jump into how I started to show that I had proof that people were engaging with my materials that I was providing. So I realized I needed to make things trackable. So I started using QR codes, Bitly links, Google Slides and Forms, Screencastify, YouTube, Canva, and S'mores newsletters. Those are probably my main tools in my toolbox. There are a lot of other things out there. If you do a lot of live professional development, I know I also like to use Poll Everywhere, things like that in my live professional development. But when I'm doing asynchronous or in person or like a hybrid combination, these are kind of my go to tools. So let's see. I wanted to make them trackable so I could track people. I'm tracking the views that people have on things, I'm tracking their clicks through to materials. So that's what I mean by tracking. Um, all right, so let's take a look at a few of mine. I'm going to do like a quick overview, but please, 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 if there's something you're like, oh, Jenny, I really want to know more about this, please comment tonight. Comment in the below and let me know what you want to know more about. Right. And if you know something, this is all like my personal take on things that have helped me, and you may use them differently. Right. You may know more about something. Please share in the group. Right. We're all here to have a positive environment to support each other. And one of the reasons I started this group was just I know how isolating an instructional coach can be at times. And sometimes you really also need to kind of get out of your own head and your own space, and you need to see what other people are doing. And you need to share and get advice from each other. And that's what I'm hoping tonight's presentation is providing for you. And I hope you'll use that group in that way. So please keep it positive. Please share what you know. And if you have questions or you want to know more, please ask. So anyway, let's get back into how to track adult self-directed PD, right? So if you've got adults who are engaging with something that you have given at the end of a professional development, at the beginning before you're meeting with people, maybe it's something that you've given to an individual person that you're coaching. So some of the ways you can do that, or you're using like a newsletter or something of that nature, is to use a dynamic QR code. What is a dynamic QR code? So a dynamic QR code is a code that code itself, right? It stays the same, but you can change the links to it. And a lot of like other businesses, like restaurants and retailers, they may use this in a let's see. They may use this in a different way. They're really looking to like do things like change their menu out. But for coaches, the really great thing about this is that dynamic QR codes provide um, click, tracking for clicks, right? So you can see how many times people clicked, depending on if you Google dynamic QR code, there are a lot of different um, groups that provide them. I use the one that's on the Google Chrome. I actually, on the top of my head, can't even think of what it's called, but it's the Google Chrome extension for QR codes. And when you click in there, it's free. It gives you an option for a dynamic QR code. You get one or two for free, but then there is like a small fee, but I think it's like maybe $5.99 or $8.99 for like the year. It's not much. Well worth it if you're going to do several QR codes. But if you're only going to maybe use one, maybe you're going to do it for your newsletter or something of that, you can do a free one. Of course, that could change at any time. So definitely check those out. But let's go take a look at what a dynamic QR code is, right? So you can see here, this is a picture from mine. Oh, let's see, let me go back here on the wrong side. Right here. So you can see here with the dynamic QR code, I was able to click through and see how many times people scanned my QR code. And here's the interesting thing about this is I had a QR code about building relationships. It was a PDF professional development that was asynchronous. I had several QR codes on the same little flyer that I put in teachers' mailboxes. And what I was doing was I was tracking which QR code they were scanning the most. So I had one about building relationships that was a video, one that was a podcast. I had a Padlet with asking for feedback, and I also had a QR code for an article. So what I was doing is seeing what people were scanning on. This was the one I think for the video, and you can see here that I had 70 scans. I think I gave this to 30 people. So this made me think, well, wow, people were scanning this QR code more than once, right? They were holding on to it and they were going back to it. Now, it could be they were going back to it when they had more time because it was a short video. Maybe they needed to watch it again because it was building relationships. But the one thing I really liked about this was I could see how many people engaged on what days. And you could see like when close to when I handed out, there was more engagement. But also, I pulled this up from October to March. So this longevity of this QR code, it was a QR code I had printed out. So people had kept this flyer and it had longevity. You could see over time, people still were scanning it. So this was some information that let me know that not only I had planned that I was going to do building relationships with students as my October PD, but as I could see, teachers were scanning it throughout the school year. So the feedback that gave me is that people scanned it multiple times because I handed it to 30 staff members and I had 70 scans, right? It also told me that they were reacting to it and interacting to it with different times in the year. Maybe I hadn't placed that professional development at the right time of the year. Or maybe I needed to revisit that same topic several times throughout the year because people were scanning it probably when they needed it, when they wanted to work on their relationships with students. So you can see hopefully the power of having a trackable QR code was that I got all of that in-depth information about my staff and what they needed. All right, let's move on to tracking with Google Slides. Now, you can track with Google Slides, and I actually have a little, I'm going to talk a little bit more about what you can do here is if I had somebody in my I was talking with Allison Peterson a few weeks back, and there was a really sweet person who made a comment there, and I don't know who it was. So if you have joined my group since, or this person, please reach out to them. But they had commented, you can no longer see analytics on Google Slides. And that is true, but not true. You absolutely can still see analytics on Google Slides. They have just moved where it is. Okay. So I'm going to show you where it is tonight. They've just moved where it is. They used to have it right up there in the taskbar. It was very easy and convenient to find. And you can see it's this little squiggle over here. And when you click that little squiggle, when you've shared your Google Slides, you can actually go and see viewing trends, right? You can actually go in here and see who is engaged with it and how many times and what the dates are. So this can be really powerful, just like the other dynamic QR code, that if you are sharing a Google Slides, maybe you are sharing it asynchronously for a PD, maybe you have done a presentation and then you are sharing it out. Often people ask you to share it out, or you may share it out ahead of time to staff who can't be at a professional development. You can actually go back and see how many people engaged with those slides. And again, you can see under what time period they did it. So this can be really great because you can see the power of those slides. Is this something that people want to interact with? And if it is, then you should be sending out slides every time you do a presentation. We actually, as a coaching team in my district, we actually created a slow release Google Slides on managing student behavior in January and February. And we had a theme, and every week we would release one more slide. And we as the coaches could see the overall slides, but the staff only got one digestible slide every week that had, links out to videos and articles that were specific to a very specific behavior that they might be dealing with in the classroom. So this was great for us because then when we got together as a coaching team, we got to really look at those analytics. We got to see the teachers' names, and we knew what buildings were engaging with what slides more. So it gave us an idea of what grade levels were interacting with different slides and what we could provide more of. So it was really a great tool. And let me see if I can get out of here. I don't know if you can see it on my slide. I might need to, this is my first time using StreamYard, so I think I may need to make a separate video for this. But for you people that are big Google Slide people, the analytics is still there. You want to click on the Tools tab, and it's all the way down on the bottom of the Tools tab. You can actually open up another tab right now. Do it with me. Go to the Tools tab, click on it, go all the way down, and I think it's called the Analytic Dashboard. It should be the last choice that you have. You can click there. So if you did not know that you could track people's views of your presentations on Google Slides, then I am excited for you, because when we get done with our presentation tonight, I would love for you to go back presented this year, and go and look for those analytics to see how many times people engaged with it, right? Because that's going to tell you a lot about that topic. It's also, hopefully, if it's the end of the year, give you some feedback to give to your supervisor, or give you some food for thought. If you go and do that tonight, please comment in the group. I would absolutely love to know that one or some of these tools were helpful to you tonight. All right, let's move on to our second or third one is Google Forms. Now, I kind of feel like this is a given for a lot of people who are working in professional development because, us coaches, we love our Google Forms, right? And if you're not using a Google Form, you got to get in on it. So Google Forms are great in a lot of ways, right? Because it provides, you can get a data sheet out of it. You can you can see here, I have the pie charts, right? A lot of different ways to create trackable materials because it's a survey, right? You can ask people different forms of surveys and get feedback. I kind of feel like this one is not a big one to explain here, so we're going to move on to another slide. Okay, so tracking adult self-directed PD. Now, I do a bigger presentation on self-directed PD, so some of these slides I grabbed from that presentation. So what I mean by self-directed is, by clicking on these links and engaging with them, the adults that you are working with or the teachers you're working with are having some form of a self-directed learning situation. And maybe you might be doing this in a live presentation, but the idea is to think about that adults really learn best when they have an opportunity to engage with materials on their own time and at their own pace, because they are in a different place. Students are learners. They go to school. They know their job is to learn, and you might expect them all to engage with something during a class period. But the shift into working with adult learners is that adults are professionals, and they all have different areas that they're coming from and different knowledge and background, and they're all in different areas of learning and different areas of stress and overwhelm as well. So providing opportunities to give adults self-directed PD, providing before a large PD information for them to engage with, providing things for them to engage with in coaching cycles, providing things for them to engage with after a professional development, just giving people opportunities, right? Opportunities to engage with things is really important for adult learners. And there's something out there, it's a statistic that they use a lot in advertising and entrepreneurism, but it really is also applicable to working with adults in the education field, is that it takes 7 touches for most human beings to engage with something. All right, 7 touches. So I want you to remember that, because you're not annoying as a coach. You might annoy some people sometimes, but you're not annoying if you're bringing up topics again and again. If you're giving people different ways to engage with the same material, right? It takes people time to engage with material, especially on their own terms. And that is another reason why trackable links are so important, because it's a slow burn. Adult learning is a slow burn, right? And sometimes we're in situations where we have to learn very quickly, like our COVID scenario. People had to learn very quickly a lot of different things, but ultimately it does take time. So having trackable links can really help with that. So this one right here is Bitly. I know a lot of people are familiar with Bitly. It is a company that makes longer links that you have or URL codes into smaller digestible ones. I love the fact that Bitly, I think still now they provide it. I think they provide you 1 or 2 customizable links. I think that's fantastic. I recently made a like a Canva advertisement for a graphic advertisement for our kindergarten registration, and I was able to use the Bitly link and actually have our mascot name as the part of the Bitly link, so it was really easy for parents to type in and register. So Bitly has so many great features like that, but one of the features that I think is underutilized is that they actually give you the ability to track those links that are clicked as well. As you can see there on my left side, if you already use Bitly, go into it tonight and check it out, right? I have this link here and it will tell you how many times it's been clicked. You can see the little analytics there. This was like a This one's not my actual one that I use all the time. This was one I just kind of came up with. So there is no like clickable links right here. Like you can see there's no analytics, I mean, but you can see where the analytics would be right here. So go check out Bitly links next time. If you've been creating Bitly links for people and you haven't been tracking the analytics, go check that out. I believe that's still a free feature. I feel like right now it's so hard to recommend a lot of digital tools in that kind of post-pandemic afterglow that we're all in. Like so many digital tools are getting so competitive that I feel like every time I go on something, it's changing. So as of the last time I was using this, it was still had free access to that, but it may be a paid feature at this point. So I just want to kind of say that, like, hopefully everything I'm sharing with you tonight is still at the same status as that when you're watching this as I recorded it and been using it. But like I said, everything is so evolving. Let's go ahead and look at the next one here. So screencasting. So Screencastify is without a doubt my screen recording platform of choice. I've just always liked Screencastify. If you use it, you probably know that like they really have teachers at their heart and their center. So that's one of the reasons I like it. It has a lot of training components to it. But one feature they added, maybe I want to say about 2 years now ago, they added this ability to view to share a viewable link. So I used to download mine and link them in I used to download them a lot and put them in YouTube so I could track them. But now you can actually click through and track right here. So it's a little less work on my part because I used to always download all my videos, then I would upload them to YouTube, and then I would look on YouTube to see how long they were engaged with, which is still a great way to check video engagement. But when Screencastify have started providing this shared link, it really just took that whole step out of it because now I can check the views, how many people clicked and viewed something right here. All right, so let's go look at our next one. So our next one is one, well, this is actually, it says Canva there because I was working on a Canva video, but this is actually YouTube. YouTube, has been around for a while, but they're always making new improvements and changes. And, how can you not love YouTube? Maybe you don't, I do. But YouTube has a lot of trackable links, right? I use like a YouTube channel that I put out a lot of professional development on. If you are somebody that doesn't really use YouTube and you're afraid to use YouTube, like, oh, people are going to find me or they're going to find my things, I always send things out to staff. Sometimes I'll make things public and other times I will make it. So if you make something private on YouTube, then only you can view it, but you can make it so it's not viewable to everybody. So, oh gosh, what is the link called? So you've got private and there's unlisted. So if you make your YouTube videos unlisted, you can still track the analytics, and it really is only searchable by people that you provide the link to. So I will provide the link to my staff or anyone I would like to engage with it, and then I can actually go back into YouTube and look at the analytics, how people are tracking it. And you can actually see, it's very easy. You can see here, right here, how many people, there was 18 views over 3 days, right? So I did a little video on how to use Canva, and over 3 days, I hit 18 views. So right there, I could see it. Now I can click into the YouTube dashboard and I can actually see how long people engage with the video. And that can be, unlike Screencastify, at least right now, as far as I know, Screencastify only lets you know how many people viewed it. When you use YouTube, the nice thing is you can actually click through into their settings area where their videos are and actually see how long someone stayed on a video. And this can be great in regards to when you go back, if you were doing asynchronous PD, if you're providing PD in this nature where you're recording things ahead of time, are people watching your videos, right? The average video really should, the view time is like 2.5 to 3 minutes, right? Is the average human will watch a video that they actually want to know about the topic. If they're not really engaged in the topic, it's like 30 seconds. So thinking about that and watching which videos were actually engaged with the most, not only watched and clicked on, but watched longer, and look at that back at that video. Is it the topic? Is it the way you presented it? Is it the way you started off the video? What were the reasons that people stayed engaged, right? So that is another way to track your professional development, but also kind of critique your ability to present it. All right, let's go into our next one here. I know I'm getting a little long in the tooth here tonight. So if you're with me, awesome. If you need to take a minute and go get a beverage or use the bathroom, take a second and go do that. If you have some questions, please throw them in the chat or excuse me, in the comments below and let me know a little bit about what you have questions about. If I can't answer it tonight, because I'm still kind of new to this topic here with StreamYard, I will definitely get back to you. If you've been taking notes, awesome. Please know that I will keep this up as a replay for everyone, so you'll have access to it. So if you've been taking notes, this is not going to disappear. I will make this available for everybody. If you were going to grab that drink or run to the bathroom real quick, thanks for hanging in there with me, everybody. I appreciate it. We're going to keep going here. And I am shocked I have not been interrupted by dogs or children, so I'm going to keep going until that happens. 40 minutes. They probably just don't know where I am in the house. Please let me know if that's you too, right? I'm hiding out to do this. So let's see. So I probably just jinxed myself because I hear a dog barking. But let's see. Let's get back into what we're doing. If you went to go grab a drink, welcome back. But let's talk about tracking adult PD with Canva designs. Now, I love Canva. Canva is a graphic design group. I think they're pretty much out there. They're no longer the best kept secret. I think a lot of people know them already. Maybe if you use Canva, definitely let us know in the comments. It's very affordable. I think there is a free version, and there's a lot of free materials for educators. I use a more advanced version. I think I paid like $12.95 a month for it, which is still pretty good because I use it like all the time. It's a very easy drag and drop graphic design. It's great for information, creating like infographics. You can make videos, you can do slideshows. You can just pretty much do about any kind of graphics you can think of in there. And one of the reasons I really like Canva too is it also is a company. It's an Australian company. And they created it originally to make yearbooks for schools. And it has just morphed into what it is today, this fantastic, easy to use design platform. But they always kind of have teachers and education in mind. Another reason I really like to promote them and support them. If you go to my YouTube channel, Teaching with Jenny, that is also my website, Teaching with Jenny. I sell ELA products on there. You can click through to my YouTube channel, and I do have a Canva video, and I should probably post it here in the group. I may have a few weeks back, I can't remember, on how to use Canva. But let's talk about their new trackable. It's not too new, but it's newer. There are newer trackable analytics that you can make when you make like a graphic or different things that you can actually track it. I actually have just kind of found this feature, and I haven't had a chance to really use it too much, but I'm actually really excited to start using it. So when you create a graphic, you can see here I created an infographic about, I think it was synchronous and asynchronous videos, or synchronous and asynchronous teaching, and I want to go and share it. So when I go to my shareable links, I have the options to then click here. It's right up here. When you share the analytics, and you can see it's going to tell me views, engagements, and how many times people click that unique link. So another way that you can start. So if you use Canva, go dive in there tonight and see if you have any analytics or if you shared directly from the platform. I was downloading a lot of things, so when I went back, I did not actually have analytics on some of those things. Now I know that I need to share from the platform for those analytics to show up. If you use Canva and you use the analytics regular, please share in the group. It's still pretty new to me, but I'm excited to start using this correctly so that I can look at how many people are clicking on my designs and things that I am sharing out. All right, so tracking adult self-directed PD with newsletters. So this is what I was talking about earlier in this training is S'mores newsletters. My district actually pays for some of my admin to use this, and I begged pretty please that I could use it too. And luckily they said yes to me. So I don't actually know how much they pay as a district, but I know individually it's affordable. I know as coaches, sometimes you may need to get something approved. Depending on where you work and what the budget is, you may be purchasing things yourself, or you may be able to ask for it to be purchased. Definitely ask to have this purchased for you. And when you ask to have it purchased, you can use some of the information you learned tonight about why it is really a fantastic platform for a coach who is trying to track engagement with staff in an asynchronous way. So if you are providing a newsletter here, this is pretty user friendly. It's a very graphic based newsletter. It takes a little bit of a learning curve, but it's not that difficult to learn. And over time, you definitely get better with it, a little more savvy with it. But what I really like about it, even if you just have a very simple newsletter where you provide text, it kind of looks like a very simple drag and drop website when you start to use it. There are definitely tutorials you can watch to learn how to use it if you're not a techie person. But like I said, even if you just use the text feature and keep it very simple, your newsletters, you don't have to create this really wow newsletter, because they actually have a lot of things that will create it for you like that, a lot of templates. What you want to use it for is the analytics. The analytics are fantastic. I wish I knew about them when I first started coaching. Let me say that again. I wish I knew about them when I first started coaching, because the tracking here was fantastic. When I send out my weekly newsletter, I can see exactly who clicked on it. It tells me right away how many views I had, right? So I was excited because I don't have 89 people in my that I send out to in my building. So it tells me how many times an individual clicked on it. It tells me how long they stayed and engaged something. It tells me things that they've downloaded, right? So you can see here their links are downloaded. So the amount of information it gives me about the individual user is really fantastic. It's funny, I will see that somebody will click on it 4 or 5 times, but they'll only stay on it for a minute or two. So I'll know that maybe that person keeps pulling it up with the intention to read it, and maybe they'll read it later. Sometimes I've realized, sometimes I have a ton of clicks. Sometimes it's the content and information. Sometimes it's the time of day that I send it. So it gives me a lot of food for thought on how I'm providing this professional development for people, depending on knowing all this information, knowing how many times people are clicking on it. If I notice that all my reading specialists are clicking on certain things, well, then I know, hey, there's something that they're interested in or they're talking about that I'm providing. Maybe I should reach out to them individually, right? Or if I notice I have a lot of first grade teachers, or a lot of or I noticed that my admin has gone back and clicked on something a few times, I might want to go have a conversation with her about that, right? There might be something she might want me to do a professional development on. So there's a lot. This offers just so many different ways to look at professional development. All right, let's go to the next one. And someone has found me. I think it is a dog or a child. All right, so good thing we're near the end of wrapping this up tonight. All right, so just to go back and review, some of my go-to trackable ways for professional development is I use QR codes. I use that are dynamic links. I use hyperlinks that are trackable. I use things like Google Slides that have the ability to access views. I use Bitly links that give me an opportunity to see how many click-throughs and views I have. Google Forms that offer me all kinds of data and let people respond, but also crunches all that data. So it's already analyzed. So all I have to do is analyze it because it's already been crunched for me. I use Screencastify because I can see how many people have clicked through to that. I can use YouTube because not only can I see how many views there are very easily, I can also look more deeply and see how long people watch videos for. I can use the Canva analytics. I can also use my S'mores newsletters for all kinds of information about the people that are clicking through to different information. And also to review, we know that we're using trackable ways to help engagement, right? We want to see how teachers are engaging, what they're engaging with, what they might be more interested in, because we know as coaches there are a lot of lurkers. There are a lot of teachers who are interested about what we're providing, but they're not ready to engage with us. And that's part of our job, is to reach out and make that engagement piece happen, right? Make those coaching cycles happen. And the way we do that is by, arming ourselves with all of this data, becoming it's our, jobs to look more deeply and think more deeply about what our staff needs, what our teachers need, and provide that for them. And using trackable links is one way that we can make that a lot more simple for ourselves. And but we also want to be careful, again, that we are not using it as a big brother or a gotcha, or in any kind of intrusive way. This really should be a real way just of enriching yourself as a coach. Um, so just please keep that in mind. We have enough big brother aspects out there in the world right now. We have enough accountability things out there right now. And as coaches, we have to build trust with the people that we're serving. And we absolutely can build trust because we care about them, and we're using these techniques in which to build an understanding of our audience, right? That we are supporting. That is our teachers and our admin and our educators that we are supporting. Ultimately, we all know this gets down to kids, though, right? So we can all support these people so they can do better for kids. So hopefully you enjoyed tonight. I really enjoyed talking to you all tonight. And thank you for hanging in. If you watch the whole thing, oh my gosh, you have my heart. Thank you so much. Please know the replay will be here. Come back and watch it as many times as you like. And I look forward to hearing from you guys in the comments about things you want to know more about. Please share if you have good things to share. And just please make sure that you help me keep this group a really happy and good place for coaches to meet and come together. All right, I'm signing off. Have a great night. Bye-bye.